So in my presentation, I'm going to be going over the basics of Python and HTML ripping through Python. So I'm going through the basic syntax, the use of the classes in Python, HTML extraction, and full extraction from HTML and Python. So the Python basics is that Python supports many programming paradigms like functional programming, aka F#, object-oriented programming like Java, or imperative programming. It also imports, the imports revolve around dependencies. The dependencies you get from a separate program like PyPy, in which extracts from online databases and downloads onto your computer in a file so that you can import into your programs. And it's also indentation. Python's also indentation sensitive. So the basic differences of Python is that brackets are replaced by colons. The import statement is just a basic import with the file name. Main is written as a function in Python, and then console input is just by raw underscore input. And as you can see, there are no types in Python, declared types that you type in Python, and there are also no semicolons. So, so I'll see if you can run this code real quick. So then just go, hello, how are you? Say good, say glad to hear. Do it again, tell it go away, and it calls me a jerk. Alright, so uh, in Python, main methods are not necessarily required, but they are definitely recommended. So if a file is passed in as an import and there's no method or main method for it, this code will never be executed on the left side. But on the right side, because there's a method declared as main, and then right here, the lower end, if this file is passed as import, it will actually run as compared to the left side. So it's always safer to have main methods in Python instead of just just straight up have that, because if scripts have to use code, you will be able to run the code. So then Python classes and running. So then classes in Python are similar to the usual kind of classes, but there are a couple of differences. So then there are three main scopes of variables in Python. One is a class scope variable, which is declared within the class scope, but outside of functions. And then there's also the self-scope variables, in which are declared inside of the functions and also required to be inside parameters, as you can see in both of these functions right here. And there are also global variables, in which are basically static variables of Python that every single class instance will share. So then, as you can see here, init in this class is the constructor with the initialization parameter. So there's three of them, except for the self. The self is just to be able to use it within a function. So as you can see, self.url, in order to use self, you have to use a self dot, and then the name, and then I just passed in that right there. And then in order to use class scope variables, you have to use the dot as well with the class name prior to it with the variable name, and then save it right there. So right here, I use URL library 2, and then .url open, the URL that's passed through there, and then I read 1 million lines of the HTML. And then right here, I open up a file with the other parameter right here, and then open it as a write, and then I write to the HTML to there. So then, if I can get the file right here, so then right here I am running this code for yahoo.com and saving it to hello.txt. So then, and then show right here. Here's the code for yahoo.com for the HTML. If I want to make a new file, because it's a W, it'll automatically generate a file for me because the opening. So then right here, as you can see, hello4 got created, and then the HTML for yahoo.com is also right there. Oh, and as you can see, main is not required but recommended. No other class would run this part of the code if this code is ever imported. So then the basic of the file I/O is as goes. First you have to open the file, of course, with this right here. The second parameter is very important. The W denotes writing to the file. It clears out the file or creates it, then writes to it. R reads it. A appends to it. It means that it writes to the end of the file. R plus means read and write to the file. B is also is reading the file as binary. So the input, you have to have some kind of R, and then you do that .read or .read line. Output, you have to do WRA first, and then you do .write. So then this is a picture extractor code I made really quickly. It first takes the HTML the same as before, but the only difference is the regex call. The regex call is basically a regular expression. It looks for expressions based on whatever you type in here. I won't go over it for now because it's very confusing, as you can see. So then this function also returns the links to every single URL to the images that are provided inside the HTML code. So then this is a runner right here. R denotes a raw string, is equivalent to the ampersand in C#. This is the import file of this full file. So then this imports the URL ripper. This import OS import allows the manipulation of OS interfaces, so you can do stuff with folders. You can make folders. You can look through your files, etc. So then it grabs the current directory right here and then puts pictures at the end. And then if it doesn't exist, it creates the directory for us. And then right here, this is urllib.url retrieve, and then the link right here, this is the I is the link, and then this is the file name which you want to save it to. It takes all the links given and then retrieves and saves the file. Alright, so to run this code, you have to run the runner code, not the URL ripper code. So then runner py right here. So then I will make a statement there first. So then if you run this, it'll save into the pictures folder. As you can see, it's all the DeviantArt pictures. It just saves into there. And close out of this because it'll run forever. And then if you want to make a new folder, I'll make pictures 4. So then it makes, so you can see if I run this, pictures 4 will be created. And then all the pictures from the site again will be saved into the folder. Just a fair warning for this is that if you do this too much in certain websites, they will lock you out of the website, and because you are hurting their servers just by running over and over again. So if you do this too much, they will kick you out of there. Right. So then for more information on Python, you go to this website. It's a lot of places. Like it's all about the libraries, all about the APIs, how to do stuff, how to start, etc. And yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you.